Yeah, because though it's only the second week of class, all of my teachers have decided to give us tests. So it's
Nice.
just like fucking hey.
Well, I
But
won't keep you up too long, man.
we'll figure it out. I can do anything. I'll figure it out.
You're the Lizard King.
Yeah, I am the Lizard King. I can do anything
Yeah.
to death.
It's the what is it? The snake is long, 7 miles wide, or whatever.
Yes.
Ride the snake, man. That's all I'm saying.
Ride the snake.
Yeah.
And then they came down from the ancient valley, butt plugs in their hair.
Yeah, I don't have the same hatred of the Doors that a lot of my peers seem to have, but anytime that dude starts going into that slam poetry he does, it's a little too much for me.
Yeah, that's usually what turns me off to Jim Morrison. Musically, I kind of like the Doors.
Yeah.
Maybe rebelliously because my dad hated them,
Hmm.
but I kind of like the Doors. My wife really likes the Doors
Yeah.
too much, and I don't. Other than that, they seem all right. But yeah, when he starts getting into his, they came down from the ancient lake, that kind of thing. It's like, no, they didn't. Just sing, songbirds, sing.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Maybe it'd be better if I did some mushrooms or something, but
Yeah, maybe.
anytime I did any psychedelics, the last thing I wanted to do was listen to the Doors.
Yeah, like I think it maybe had that erupted like during our drug use days. Like that would make more sense. But Jim Morrison had been in the ground for what, like 15 years
Yeah, right.
when the first time we took a tab. And so I mean, had that, maybe if we were out in the desert and that was the shit at the time, Jim Morrison was, a big influence and alive and all that. I could see like being out in like, New Mexico somewhere walking around going, what the fuck's going on? And then somebody hitting play on a car stereo 8-track and hearing, like, and then I walked on down the hall and me going, holy shit, he's walking on down the hall. What's he going to do to his father?
Oh my God, he's gonna get to the end of the hall pretty soon. I'm pretty sure.
It's been like 10 minutes. He's got to be getting there.
You got any preamble? You got anything you want to talk about before we get into this piece of shit?
Fuck, man, this thing. Let's see. I got my gummies. And I'm real happy about that. Black Forest brand. So, I'm all fueled up and ready to get busy.
And I just popped the cork on a bottle of cheap ass wine.
I'm going to do the do, actually.
Oh, all
I'm
right.
eating candy and drinking Mountain Dew. If there's anything that's in the future you'll be able to look back on and go, that's why your health is shit, because of all of that. This is the thing here. This is the clip you'll want to play me when we're in the home. I'll be like, so that's why I have no teeth or liver.
So the reason I wanted to talk about this movie here was because the Guardians of the Galaxy movie is so popular.
I figured, yeah.
Right now, and on my birthday, not too long ago, I went and watched that movie.
What'd you think?
Well, I'll give you 3 guesses, Robin.
You hated it?
I didn't hate it. It's not bad. It's not a bad movie. I just think that I must be taking crazy pills or something because it's perfectly likable. There are a ton of likable things in the movie, but overall, I thought it was just dumb and loud.
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways. I do definitely have some complaints about the movie, but I will say I think it's my favorite Marvel-based movie so far, just because it didn't seem as over-the-top corny as some of the other. It definitely had some cheesy moments, but
Right.
For my money, I and this is going to be like the juvenile child in me, but I could watch Rocket Raccoon swear and shoot people all fucking day.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
If they just made a 2-hour long just clip of him doing that, I'd be solid. Like, that would be
the raccoon was definitely the best part of the movie.
Looked really good too.
And the jokes were actually funny jokes.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple of clunkers, but what do you expect from a fucking Disney movie?
Yeah.
But I am just too old. I'm just an old man, and I don't want to see a nonstop thrill ride.
Oh, okay.
I want to see characters that stop every once in a while and have a conversation. So
yeah,
it just it was cool for what it was. It just I was expecting it to be a little bit more of a. I was expecting it to be like a 70s Marvel comic, and it wasn't nearly weird enough, and it was just a bunch of shit blowing up. So
yeah.
And I gotta say that Howard the Duck scene at the end, I like that Howard the Duck scene.
I'm the only one on the planet who didn't see it.
Well,
I can't find it online.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 10 seconds long. You're not missing anything. It's just Howard the Duck shows up, and he's like Benicio del Toro's character.
The collector.
Yeah. He's sitting there collecting himself. That was unintentional. But his place is all blown up and everything, and he's sitting there. He's like takes a drink, and the Cosmo, the cosmonaut dog, comes up and licks his face. And Howard the Duck says, Why do you let him lick you like that? That's fucking gross. And that's the end.
That's fucking gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't swear, but
Oh, okay.
It was perfectly charming little bit of. And it didn't help that I spent a lot of money and watched it in 3D.
Oh, I didn't see it in 3D.
Yeah. Again, everyone is saying, "Oh, what they're doing with 3D nowadays is fucking amazing and awesome," and there was no 3D in the movie.
Yeah, that's my complaint with all the 3D movies. I've seen a few of them at this point in 3D. A few that were, I've seen a couple that were designed with 3D the whole time, and then a few that were just done as After Effects,
Mm-hmm.
And it never looks very good. What you get is like for every 10 minutes of movie that you watch, maybe one or two like 3 or 4 second moments where you go, oh, that looks pretty good. And then it's gone and you're just watching, maybe I guess it's technically sort of in 3D, but
right.
It mostly just looks like the regular movie but the outside of the screen is blurry or it gives you a fucking headache.
Yeah.
But if you take the glasses off, it's 10 times worse. So you're fucked if you pay for the 3D price. So it's like I usually try to go to the non-3D ones.
Yeah.
The whole 3D movement is neat and all, but it's exactly mirroring what happened in the 70s. It's going to fly away.
Yeah.
It's just gone. It's going to be the power glove of this generation.
Yeah, I showed up late for the showing that I wanted to see, and it said IMAX, and I thought it was just going to be like the typical IMAX thing. I didn't know it was a 3D experience, right. But it's like I'm going to pay an extra $6 to be uncomfortable and wear dumbass glasses. No, I don't.
Yeah, yeah, basically. And if you steal the glasses, you can't even use them for anything.
Yeah, right. Although I was walking around with those glasses on, and everything that I looked at did look really 3D.
As you were walking in 3 dimensions?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could like it's almost like I could reach out and touch shit. So you want to talk about Howard the Duck, man?
Yeah, I don't know if we should do this now or later, or we can do it later, but I'll announce it now. Our challenge for this week, and guess which movie we're going to do.
Yeah.
Had 2 winners this time.
Oh my God.
2 people won. 2 people picked Howard the Duck.
Do I have to blow a hobo?
You do have to blow a hobo. That was what I told them you'd do.
Son of a bitch.
I'll make some calls and we'll Craigslist you some sauerkraut. No, it's our old friend Joe Cripps won.
Okay.
And then some guy named Mike Morrison won, who doesn't happen to be my brother.
Yeah.
And is in fact my brother. So both of them won, and what I told them we would do this week, our special challenge for this week, is whoever got it right, we would shower compliments upon them on the air.
Oh, fuck, man.
So we're just going to say great things. I kind of feel like we owe it to Joe.
I could probably do it for Joe. Mike is out of luck.
Okay, I wrote a few compliments just because I knew I wouldn't be able to remember them on the air. So if you want to handle Joe, you can fondle Joe, and I will shower a river of golden onto my brother.
I'll handle Joe.
You gonna handle Joe?
I don't know. I'm not good at compliments, man. I don't even know. I don't.
You complete me. Say that one. That's always a good one.
Yeah. Okay. I'll work on that.
Okay, so we can do that at some point in the show. I wrote down like a little bullet list of compliments to rattle off.
Okay. Right.
Which we can even do for both of them. So.
I've also got a little extra thing. One of my favorite things to do is to read reviews on Netflix of my way of going about it is to pick movies I love and read the horrible reviews, or pick movies I hate and read the glowing reviews. That's
Okay.
That's always comedy. And I have a few for this movie that we're about to talk about. I'm just gonna do it now.
Okay.
It's not like any of this stuff's going to really let any cats out of any bags.
Go for it.
The first review is, Jesus Christ, what a god-awful piece of shit. What the hell were they thinking? Corny non sequitur after cheesy POS dialogue after ridiculous special effect after ...
That sums it up quite nicely.
This is a 3-star review.
3 stars?
I know.
Out of 5?
Yeah. This 1-star review, awful movie, an attempt to mix goofy horror with a sci-fi sentiment while trying to deliver a serious message on human morality. I don't know what they're talking about there, but that
seems like a stretch.
Yeah, the only entertaining part is thinking about why Lucas made this movie while watching it. The whole movie kind of exponentially gets worse over time, and about halfway, the slope reaches near infinity. Surprised it wasn't total career suicide. Also, this is not a PG movie.
Was it rated R?
No, I think it's rated PG, but their point is like there's like gross weirdness in it.
Duck tits.
Yeah, I have a few more, but 2 stars. Why is the duck attracted to Leah Thompson? Yeah, she's hot, but not to a duck. If I landed on a duck planet, you can sure bet I wouldn't be going out of my way to bed a female duck.
I would.
Very good point. I mean,
I'd be all over that.
I mean, I probably would too. Once I realized that there were no humans on the planet, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, actually, knowing a little bit about the duck mating ritual, I would stay as far away from that planet as possible.
Yeah, I thought we'd probably get into that.
Yeah, it's just a nonstop raper coaster.
Yeah,
it's bad.
It's like they have hooked dicks and they just go around raping each other.
Yeah, it's basically like just murder. It's murder sex.
I printed out way too many of these things, but I have 2 more. Yes, I loved Howard the Duck, and the music is awesome! ! I'm not a racist, but I guess a white duck is okay. Why can't the sister get a duck, huh? My daughter, I think this is supposed to be the word daughter. My daughter says a duck can come in brown, too.
Indeed.
And
like the brown eggs.
Yeah. And the last one, I love this movie. I think it is very cute duck and very funny when he open and beer and smoke and cigar. That is funny, and he got sucked into some way different place. He never know about that. And he meet an lady, and she's not run away from him because he is different. That is good, some peoples does that. And she fall in love with Duck, and he is feeling the same too. And he finds out he can come home, but he does something, will be in a place, and decides to stay and do music with them, and they are happy with them in the different place. That is how I like this movie. I give 5 stars to this movie.
We don't even need to talk about it now. That did it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that person's background. English might not be their first language, but it does really it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they managed to capture a moment there.
Right, yeah.
I think they grasped the basic idea. I have answers to some of those questions, or to some of those questions that were asked, and to some of those reviews too, because I have a theory about this movie and George Lucas in general.
You're gonna answer why a sister can't get a duck?
Well, no, I'm not going to answer that one.
Oh, damn.
I think a sister can have a duck. You can have all the ducks you want.
Even a white duck?
Just head on down to Chinatown. They got all shaped stripes. They got fat ducks, thin ducks. They got English ducks, Australian ducks, African ducks. Yeah. They got all the ducks. You just bang away on that duck, sister. But, duck love is colorblind for my 10 cents. No, my theory, and it's because there are a variety of things in this movie that happened, that as I was watching them, I was like, why the fuck are they doing that? Why does George Lucas keep doing this? Why is this dialogue like this? What the fuck was he thinking? Mm-hmm. I had a lot of the same questions, and then it hit me. And I don't know what ever occurred to me before, but it perfectly summates, I think, George Lucas's entire career, even maybe including those first 3 Star Wars movies he made way back, but not nearly so much. I think those he kind of got lucky on. I'm starting to decide because everything else has been pretty bad usually. My theory is I think that after the first couple of Star Wars movies, George Lucas decided that all of us were fucking stupid and wrote every movie with the idea, condescendingly, that we're all just a bunch of fucking morons.
Yeah.
And all of his movies are tailored that way in like an insulting, like condescending way.
Sure.
And Howard the Duck is the worst offender, I think. It's the way it's put together, the way the dialogue works is so over the top explanatory to the viewer over and over. It's so fake and dumb. It uses the lowest form of humor, which is puns. Mm-hmm. It's just nonstop puns that don't even make sense. It breaks its own molds. It does this constantly, and I don't know if George Lucas just has no actual sense of humor and doesn't know how it works, and so that's why this flopped, because he doesn't get it. Like, he's never made anything funny, I don't think.
Right.
This was a pretty poor attempt at it. Or if it's just that he just thinks we're incredibly stupid, and everything he's done after those first few Star Wars movies is just him going, fuck you, whatever, I don't give a shit. Here's your stupid movie. You're stupid. Right. You know, let me spell it out for you. Anakin bad. Like,
well, he definitely, he made like a couple of movies and then suddenly was a billionaire. It's obvious that he has no touch with reality. You know?
Yeah.
I even made a little note about how this is just a movie where George Lucas and his army of sycophants decided to make a movie. Yeah. Where no one is telling this guy, no, that's not funny. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, don't do that, George.
Yeah. Since I'm a comics nerd, I know a lot of people are going to expect me to kind of go off about the comics, but I'm going to try not to do that. Let's just say the comics are better. They're
I would assume
they're vastly better, but like I'm going to try to stick with just the movie itself.
I think if somebody wiped their ass with toilet paper and the shit happened to spell out Howard the Duck, it would be better than this movie.
Right. I watched this movie last night, and at first I only made a couple of notes. The first of which was, this movie is embarrassing for having simply lived during the year it was made.
yeah, it kind of just taints everybody.
This is a horrible movie.
Uh-huh.
Everyone knows this. Everyone knows that this is a bad movie. But if anyone listening to this has not seen the movie, it's worse than you expect it to be.
I hadn't seen it since I was like a little kid. I think I watched it when I was like 20 as well, but I couldn't really recall. I remember my dad cackling at all the puns at the beginning, like Mallard card and stuff like that, instead of MasterCard, and Duck Rogers, or
oh man,
whatever the Indiana Jones pun was.
Yeah,
or Breeders of the Lost Bark or Egg or some shit.
Yeah,
but I remember my dad cackling at that, and I think I watched it when I was 20. But going into it this time, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. I kind of thought that movie was all right. I don't know, and I remember thinking it was pretty hokey, but I do remember Jeffrey Jones is in it, and there's a scene where some crazy long thing comes out of his mouth and sticks into a cigarette lighter. I liked that.
The best part of that movie.
I agree. Movie. Looking back on it now, even then, I'm just like, well, that scene's still kind of fun. But the rest of it's just terrible. Oh, Tim Robbins. Fuck, Tim Robbins.
Right. Oh, I take it back. There's absolutely the best part of this movie. There's going to be a lot of hyperbole today, I think, because like this movie came out when I was 11.
Okay.
And I didn't watch it in a theater. I watched it when it came to HBO, I think. So I was
same here. Yeah.
I must have been like 12 or so. And man, I think Leah Thompson kickstarted puberty for Elijah.
Yeah, she might have done the same for me. I really was fond of her growing up.
We'll get to that, I think. But this movie starts in Duck World, man.
Duck World. I don't know what the name of the city is, but it's a Duck World.
I don't think there are cities. I think it's just called Duck World, because even on there's the Indiana Jones parody poster that he has. It says coming to Duck World this summer.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Duck World.
And that movie was from the producers of Beaks and Starfowls, I think it was called.
Did you pause on the posters and read them?
Yes. I did.
That's awesome. I thought about doing it, but then I was like, oh, well, maybe afterwards. But by then I was so distraught that I couldn't do it.
So I think I lost steam after just a couple of seconds, I think. But so this entire planet is built on bird puns. It's not that ducks exist on this planet. It's that bird puns are that's the language that people discuss things in, I guess.
Apparently, yeah. It's kind of like if here on Earth we put the word human in every fucking product we bought.
Right.
You know, like, oh, I'll use my credit card, the human card, and I'm going to go down to Humans for some coffee.
Right.
It doesn't really make any sense, and it's these puns are there purely for the audience as sort of a wink pun mode, that Lucas and his writers are throwing in there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense that he would have a Mallard card. It only makes sense unless you're looking at it as, oh, it's a parallel universe. But even then, they would still just have MasterCard. They speak English. Right. So it's like...
and sometimes they're not even puns. Because, so Starfowls, I think I'm remembering that right, is it's a play on Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
George Lucas helped make Raiders of the Lost Ark. He made Star Wars. They make Starfowls. What is Beaks a parody of? I just think they couldn't think of another pun.
Yeah,
so they just threw the word beak in there.
Yeah.
God, this is so terrible already.
They're so bad. I mean, if you want an example of how bad they are, imagine a poster for the movie Tuesdays with Morrie, and instead of Morrie, they just put Tuesdays with Feathers.
Yeah.
And that's the only difference. And you're like,
right.
Moving along.
Yep. Howard comes home to his film noir house. There's like juicy sax music playing, and he throws his mail on a chair, and there's like a postcard from some lady duck that wants to fuck him, and then he gets a voicemail, or I guess a message on his answering machine. Voicemail wasn't really a thing back then.
They're still stuck in Duck World 80s.
Yeah, right. But it's a message from another lady duck that wants to fuck him, and like this entire movie is about how much this duck can fuck.
How much? That should have been the title of the movie. How much can this duck fuck?
I mean, this really is like a really randy movie.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of like kind of porntastic humor in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's even moments where it's obtrusive. Like, I like naughty humor, but there's a few moments where you're like, what the fuck? Like, why is he doing that? Can he not go 5 minutes without going, my fucking dick?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it doesn't seem like he can.
I mean, the problem is that they obviously wanted to just make a, like, this duck gets fucked all the time.
Yeah.
Type of movie, but then someone kind of just kept saying, well, this is a movie for kids, right?
Yeah.
We can't just say this duck wants to fuck. We have to imply it.
I can see Lucas going, no, it'll be fine. We'll have some duck titties in there.
Yeah, right. And yeah, okay, like he sits down, he starts to watch TV, and we first of all, the puppet / costume / Howard thing is disgusting looking.
It's pretty gross looking, yeah.
Yeah.
You look at him and you're like, he's got these big eyes, and coupled with the weird voiceover that they use for his voice, because it's got to be dubbed in. You can't hear the obviously the dwarf they have in that costume.
Right.
And so, you hear his voice, but in the opening scenes, it's really mumbly and kind of, I get the idea they were trying to make it more realistic that way, but it comes off kind of creepy because he's sitting there and you see him looking at a channel and his eyes will tilt in really robotic ways, like the servos were just really stiff. And so it's not really believably lifelike, but it's not quite as bad as like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but it's not much better.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
His eyes like tilt in, his beak kind of turns a little, and then you see him go, and then he turns and he's like, okay. Then he turns and he's like, But they all sound so rehearsed and fake. You feel like you're watching a weird skit that they're making a robot act out.
Yeah. So he sits down, he starts to watch TV. There's a couple of dumb puns, commercials. There's a commercial for Jock Itch cream or something, and that makes Howard look at his dick. He says,
he's like,
oh, Jock, I forgot that I have a dick for 5 seconds. And then he grabs his junk and It's just like this movie's disgusting, is what it is.
Howard the Duck is a skeevy motherfucker. I think.
Yeah, he is.
He's a mother ducker. Now I'm doing it.
Good
George
one.
Lucas.
Jesus Christ, man.
Hire me, fucker.
So Howard gets sick of TV because there's nothing but commercials on. So he starts looking at a fucking jerk off magazine, and there's a centerfold with a naked duck human costume puppet robot thing.
Yeah. What is it, Play Duck? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, it's Play Duck. And he says, ooh la la, I'm totally going to jerk off to this naked duck.
Yeah.
And then everything starts to rumble, and his entire recliner lifts up off of the ground and goes flying through the wall. And of course, we get to see the most iconic scene in this entire movie. I think the scene that anyone has seen this is burned into your memory for the rest of your life. There's a naked duck woman thing fucking jerking off in the bathtub, and it's only a couple of seconds, but it's enough to ruin you.
Yeah, she's got human tits.
Yeah.
This duck in the bathtub with human tits, covered in feathers, but definitely human. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because it's like, well, I guess the ducks are humanoid, but I don't want to think too deeply into that. It happens so quick. I get the idea that it's supposed to be one of those duck tits like things.
Yeah.
And then it passes. And I guess maybe when I was a kid, the first time I saw it, that was my reaction. But this time, knowing that it was coming, I was like, oh, there's ew.
Yeah. I remember even as a kid thinking that is wrong. That is like, this is not the movie that scene needs to be in.
Yeah. Why are they sexualizing these animals?
Well, I really don't get it. Like, so ducks breastfeed. They're hatched from eggs, but they breastfeed.
Yeah. Well, and it mentions at one point in the movie something about laying eggs. So it's like, it's the entire world that's being built makes no sense. It's purely to make jokes for the audience at the expense of any kind of continuity or realisticness, you know?
So Howard goes flying into space. And then we get a voiceover introduction that says, anything is possible in this movie. Don't think too much about it, essentially.
Yeah. We really apologize for what we've done.
Right. And then we get the title and everything, and, you know, grand, sweeping Superman-like music, and Howard gets sucked off of his planet and lands on the planet Earth.
After traveling through space with no helmet or anything.
Yeah.
Just bare ass, just through space.
So he lands in a fucking recliner in an alleyway, and then immediately gets assaulted by
the Warriors,
glam rock punk type people.
Yeah.
It's obvious that this movie came out in 1986. All of the fashion is very glammy New York Dolls sort of look.
Yeah, it's like something out of Nomads.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's kind of like this strange, John Carpenter did it a little bit. There were a lot of 80s movies that did this. There's probably a name for it too, but there's this weird punk rock 80s glam murderous gang underworld in New York, apparently, or wherever Howard the Duck takes place.
Yeah.
I think New York. That seems to show up in a lot of...
it takes place in Cleveland.
That's right, Oh, yeah, that was another thing I was going to mention. I'll get to that in a second. Cleveland. But it's this undercurrent in a lot of 80s movies where, like, you'll see a good person walking down the street like, oh, I need to go use a payphone. We probably saw it in Chud, too. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, here come the weird punk rock gang, and they walk around the corner, and there's always one with a switchblade going, what are you doing out here? And then there's always some little toady with 3D glasses on going, ha, 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 ha. It's like this, it's like a trope, and it's like, I don't know where that came from, but so many directors put that in their movies like it was a real thing. Mm-hmm. And no place on earth had gangs like that ever.
Right.
Like, nobody had fucking clown gangs. nobody had punk rock heavy metal gangs that traveled every dark street next to burning alleys, attacking anyone who happened to even just exist in that, quadrant of their, this is the dark, seedy half of New York next to where all the big shops are,
Right.
like.
I think it really does come from the Warriors. I think that was like one of the first places where to make gangs like supervillains.
Yeah.
But there was also in the 80s, I think there was an urge to, like, everybody just saw these punk rockers out and saw that they were, nihilistic and didn't give a fuck and breaking beer bottles over their face. So therefore, they're obviously raping Leah Thompson in an alley somewhere.
Yeah, and slicing people's faces with switchblades for no reason other than just joy. They don't even rob you.
And I also think that there might have been like a little bit of like trying not to be too racist about things. So all these gangs are all multicultural and,
suspiciously perfectly multicultural too.
Right, yeah.
Because it's like, I'd be fine if there were like 2 white guys in this gang or 2 black guys or 2 somebodies. But instead it's like, no, it's perfectly evenly spread.
Right.
It's like, wow, they even got a New Zealander in there.
So these punk rockers grab Howard and immediately take him to the club. That's where they're going to take this guy because, hey, we're just fucking around, man. We're going to take this child in a costume into a nightclub or whatever. And that's where Leah Thompson and her band Cherry Bomb are playing behind chicken wire because it's just such a rough club. And they're playing. It's not the worst song in the movie.
No, it's definitely not.
for what it is, it's not a bad song. It's actually Thomas Dolby and Leah Thompson making a song together, which is amazingly weird. But as they play that song, there's a montage of Howard getting kicked back out of the club, and then he's like everything he does just fucks him up. Like there's a point where he gets thrown onto the back of a motorcycle that belongs to a gang called Satan Sluts.
Satan's Sluts.
Yeah, it's an all diesel dyke biker gang, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Satan Sluts.
Right. And they throw him off of the motorcycle. Somebody says, "Waste him, man." And he gets thrown off a motorcycle. Then he stumbles into an alley and accidentally puts his hand on the knee of some lady who's getting fucked in a garbage can or something. And it's like one horrible thing after another. And he finally finds a trash bin that he can sleep in. Covers himself up.
I just can't get over it. This is a world, this Earth. This is a world where in one block, just the front face of one part of a block, you've got like evil Akira like gang that's basically, kind of like the Warriors, these punk rock evil gang that just cause horrible mayhem and hurt people for no reason. You go into the bar and you've got what essentially seems like some sort of new wave series of bad people and drunkards and betting and bookies and pimps. Go outside and there's a guy fucking a hooker in the alley, and then the fucking bike gang, the Satan Sluts, are walking by. This is all one single block. The seedy underbelly of Cleveland. I wonder if George Lucas thinks that's what it's like in the seedy underbellies of cities.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I've never been to Ohio. I've heard some things. Leah Thompson's walking along. She's after her gig, and these two more, street toughs start accosting her, and they're gonna do horrible things to her. They keep calling her snot nose, and then and so Howard pops up out of his garbage can. And he says, "I'm gonna fuck you up," and one of the guys says, "I've been doing too much toot."
Yeah. Too much toot.
Yeah. So then
I think that's what they call coke only in Hollywood.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think it's just it's another one of those things where somebody said, well, why can't we just say cocaine? Why can't we just say he's done too much cocaine? And somebody said, no, this is a children's movie. But anyway, Howard beats the guys up and saves Leah Thompson's character named Beverly, and she says, "Oh, holy shit! It's a weird talking duck," and she freaks out about it a little bit, and then says, "Okay, I gotta go. Bye." Now would be a good time to point out that Leah Thompson in this movie, fucking adorable, of course.
Yeah.
She's a good actor. I've liked her in other things she's been in. But Beverly is fucking retarded.
Yeah. I concur.
Yeah. She has this way of talking about everything like it's just, I've never seen that before. Oh my God.
What do you call it? It's a fork. Oh, really?
Fork? What's it for?
Yeah, they kind of had her playing, like naive and innocent, which I think she took to mean dumb and just played it that way. It's kind of, it's a little weird because then you get, her, and I can see how they're trying to juxtapose that sweet kind of naivety / stupidity or ignorance and trustingness against the rather seedy and hostile and, kind of aggressive wisecracking Howard. But it doesn't really play like the odd couple I think that they planned.
Yeah. Another thing to notice when you're watching this movie is that none of the dialogue seems to sync up at all. They don't seem to really be talking to one another. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I just got attacked in an alley. And Howard the Duck says, "You tell him, sweetheart." And then she says, "Oh, maybe I should go back to my home and practice my guitar." And he says, "Boy, I wish I didn't get sucked off of my planet." They're not talking to one another. It's just a series of sentences.
Yeah, it's whoever was in the duck suit wasn't delivering those lines.
Yeah.
He was just going duck stuff, duck stuff, duck stuff. And then she said her line. And then later on, when they edited in the voiceover from the guy that does the voice, they tried to match it up as best they could, but it really doesn't fit. I kind of feel this movie has a bit of a Frankenstein quality to it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That was the other reason I was going to say that, I think George Lucas thinks we're stupid. Because not only does that happen where the dialogue doesn't make sense, but you've also got Leah Thompson and Howard and Tim Robbins, a lot of characters, explaining what they're doing to no one. Mm-hmm. And they do it over and over again. Like she'll say, "I think I'm going to go back to my house and maybe play my guitar." And then he'll say something, she'll say something. And then as they're walking away, she'll go, "Let's go back to my place and, I'll show you my guitar." And then he'll usually respond with something like, "Your place, we'll go there." And it's like, who the fuck are you talking? Like, this doesn't make sense, And I've noticed Howard will do that too. Where like he'll walk up to something and go, "All right, time to eat. I'll just pick up this fork and then I will eat this food." Everyone in the movie constantly restates what they're going to do over and over. Yeah. It's really apparent with that key card coming up later in the movie where it's established that you need the key card. And then everyone says it like 20 fucking times in about 5 minutes in this one scene. And you're like, I know, we need the key card to get in. Just shut up about it. And the last thing when that scene ends is, "Okay, we got the key card. This is what we're going to use to get into the lab." And it's like, no fucking shit. You get every character has said it like 6 fucking times, but they all seem surprised when someone says it. Like, that was what initially led me to believe that George Lucas thinks we're stupid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure he does. I again, it kind of goes back to I don't think anyone has ever said no to him in his adult life. And we can't blame it all on him. He didn't write this movie and he didn't direct it. So
that's true.
He's just the go-to guy because this is his first big flop.
Yeah, I picture like the director of photography or somebody going home at night and like, his brother or his wife or someone going, "How was work today?" And he's like, "Man, this fucking movie is killing me." Right. And they're like, "Well, why don't you say something?" And he's like, "Because my boss is Star Wars. Do you fucking get it? My boss is Star Wars. I can't say shit. I'm just going to have to sit there with my name embossed on this turd for the rest of eternity."
This movie was directed by a guy named Willard Huyck. Huyck. Huyck.
I was wondering how that was pronounced.
This is, of course, his last movie. He's never directed another movie after this. But if I were going to name a duck, I would name it Willard Huyck.
Yeah, that seems like a duck name right there.
It's totally a duck's name.
It shouldn't have been Howard the Duck. It should have been Willard Huyck the
Duck. So they go back to his place. Oh, and another thing. So several people were in the duck costume.
Okay.
And there were several puppeteers involved, and there's a guy named Chip something was the voice. But the main little person that was in the duck costume was Ed Gale, who was also Chucky.
Wow. Okay. All right. I knew I recognized that run.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he's a good physical actor. I don't know if I've ever heard his voice.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
maybe. It's it's my knowledge of little people actors involves Time Bandits heavily.
Yeah. Yep.
And Peter Dinklage and of course Willow Ufgood, Warwick Davis.
Uh-huh.
There's a few, but I'm not familiar with those that are only in costume that you can't actually ever see.
Right.
You know,
That's
Vern Troyer.
One thing that I give George Lucas a lot of credit for is like helping little people like get recognition as real actors. And I mean, I know there's a lot of Ewoks and everything, but at the time there just wasn't any roles for little people.
That's true. Yeah.
And so like it's almost like he started small, and I know I keep doing this shit, man. And like eventually got like Warwick Davis to like actually have like a he got the part of Willow, which is an amazing role for a little person.
Yeah, it's a leading role.
Yeah. So, props to him for that at least.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he can make a movie to save his life, but
Yeah.
So Howard and his new girlfriend go back to her amazing apartment, and she says, "Oh, it's not very much to look at because there's like trash on the ground in the hallway or whatever." But she lives in a fucking warehouse, thousands of square feet with great lighting and cool windows. Obviously decent insulation because it's raining out and no one even pretends to be cold.
It's like a beautiful artist loft that's the size of a Target,
Right. Yeah. I was watching that scene and looking around at my apartment and like, fuck you, Beverly Switzler.
Yeah, movies do that a lot. In Vibes, they did that too, or Vibrations, they did that, where the girl's like, "Oh, this is my shitty apartment. I got to live in this little fucking shitty quad with all these crazy people," and you're looking at the apartment, going, "That's so much nicer than anything I've lived in."
Yeah,
like, thanks a lot. I love it when like in Hollywood movies, the shitty apartment is way better than yours, and the ugly person in the movie is way more attractive than you, and you're like, "Yeah, fuck this,"
And so she doesn't know how to behave around a duck. She offers him milk in a bowl, and he says, "Fuck you, man."
Yeah.
They have a little bit of conversation about what it's like back on Duck World. He says it doesn't fucking matter. It's basically just a good opportunity to look at Leah Thompson for a little while.
Yeah.
And then Howard falls asleep, so she starts snooping through his stuff, and then we get all of the puns. There's like George Washington Duck is on the dollar bill, and there's a minuscule little condom in his wallet. Yeah,
tiny little thing. Poor guy.
He's
poor Howard.
Yeah, I mean It's not like he is a duck. He's a good 5 feet tall. Maybe 4 feet, but he's got a duck-sized dick. Is what I got out of that. And the another thing, just from like a filmmaking, from an editing point of view, it goes throughout the entire movie, but this is a good scene to kind of focus on it, where she pulls a dollar bill out of the wallet. Then they cut to her reaction, and she's got this like wide-eyed, like, I can't believe what I'm looking at. And then she looks at his credit card, then cut back to her, and she has this like, oh my God, that's the craziest thing ever. And then she pulls out his condom. She says, "Oh, Howard," and like we don't need to see all these stupid fucking reaction shots,
Yeah. Like, it's like the movie's trying to train us on what our reaction's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's just it's so fucking painful.
Yeah, it's really a badly put together movie. It's quite bad. My 9-year-old son Painter, I've referenced him on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
We got about halfway through it, and at one point he just kind of looked at me and he was like, "Do I have to keep watching this?" And I'm like, "We're gonna finish the movie." And he's like, "Come on!" And I'm like, "What? You don't like it? It's a big duck. We got the Dark Overlord. I mean,
that
some shit's
poor
gonna
little
happen."
fucker, man. You're like, this is such torture for him. You are forcing him to watch shitty movies.
Yeah, I am. It's like my own private, like, abusive mystery science theater kind of a thing. And so he actually fell asleep about maybe 20 minutes before the end of the movie. I woke him up just long enough to see the monster because I told him there was a monster at the end.
Sure. Yeah.
And he just kind of went, "That looks cool," and then he went back to bed.
He was pretending to be asleep at least.
Yeah, he doesn't want to watch it. I'm like, "You want to watch the end of it?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to watch it." I did find a movie. There's been a couple of movies we've done for the show that he's liked. And he started to get into the Schwarzenegger movies. Like, those kind of did it for him. I bonded with my dad over those movies, too.
Sure.
But I asked him which ones his favorite ones were, and they're so the opposite of what my favorite ones were when I was a kid or even now, which is like, Predator, The Terminator, fucking Conan,
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, I really like The Running Man." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. That's not bad." He's like The Running Man, and what was that other one where he lifts up the tree? Commando. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Those are like his two favorites."
Fuck yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, well, those are both good, but those are like, come on, Predator? Really? Okay." Really? Not Predator.
Yeah, it's you never know what's going to strike people, man.
Yeah. We got to watch Shocker sometime soon so I can make Mary watch it. That's like
I'll watch Shocker. Yeah.
Did Mitch Pileggi all up in that shit.
Yeah, I know.
Wes Craven.
Yeah, that's like they were trying to cash in. They were trying to make the next Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, and
I think so too.
It just did not work.
No, I like the movie as campy as it is. The reason I want to watch it with Mary is because when we first got together, she told me that was the scariest movie she had ever seen, and I'm like, "Shocker?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Are we talking about the same movie?" And she goes, "Yeah, it's got that guy from the X-Files," and I'm like, "Right, Mitch Pileggi." And she's like, "Yeah, he comes and get God. I watched that when I was a kid. It gave me nightmares for weeks," and I'm like, "Fucking really? How old were you?" She's like, "Oh, like 13." And I'm like, "What?" Like, seriously?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that with the Fluke Man episode of the X-Files, where like
one got her too.
She was terrified of that. Oh man, yeah, I'll watch Shocker.
I want to watch Shocker with her, probably just for the self-serving reason that then I can put my arm around her and say, "I'll protect you." I'll protect you, evil young Mitch Pileggi.
Yeah, man, she's got to face her fears.
Yeah,
and we can get a lot of Shocker jokes out of it.
This is also the scene, the one we're talking about, where right before Howard falls asleep, he starts getting randy and wants to fuck.
No, that's later.
Is it later?
Yeah.
After he falls asleep?
Oh, okay. Trust me, I'll bring this up.
Yeah, this scene bugs the shit out of me.
Me too, man. Maybe in a different way.
Oh, okay.
But they the next scene is with them. She has Howard in a garbage bag.
That's right.
In the back of a cab, and because talking to a garbage bag is much better, I guess. So she takes him to a museum of some sort that has a lab and
some scientists, some molecular scientists.
Yeah, it's generally all around. That's where smart people go to do smart people things.
Yeah, we're going to go to the Academic Science Place Museum, Hayden Planetarium Place.
And so she sort of knows this guy Phil, who is going to help them out. And
who's a blithering idiot.
He is a blithering idiot. Again, Tim Robbins, great actor. No one can really contest that he has been in a lot of really good movies and does a really good job with a lot of his characters. But again, this character has some serious mental deficiencies.
Yeah, he's and the way Robbins portrays it, I don't know what direction he was given, but he plays it like he's basically just fucking Daffy Duck.
Yeah.
In this movie, he's just kind of like, rah, I'm crazy fucking science guy, ha ha ha. Like he's just nuts, and he says crazy shit. He has no social skills, but not really in the way that you would think a nerdy scientist could be portrayed as not having social skills. No, he's just a fucking lunatic.
Right. He keeps trying to get Howard to display his superpowers.
Yeah.
And Howard says, you're a lunatic. I don't have any superpowers. I'm gonna make fun of you. Blah blah blah. The there's a type of humor that this movie is getting at, and it's sort of an SCTV, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray sort of humor.
Things George Lucas was probably no doubt inspired by.
Yeah, totally. There's a bunch of Blues Brothers-esque references in this movie, and it's just like, but they're not funny. It's like the unfunny version of all of that shit.
Yeah,
and
if those jokes fell flat, that's this movie.
It's like George Lucas walked into a room with the writers and said, "I want it to feel kind of like this sort of stuff because kids like that sort of stuff." But the writers didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, and so okay, I guess we'll throw in some one-liners about how Phil can't get laid or whatever.
Yeah, and it's weird to me that we're watching a movie with a talking duck, right? A talking, wisecracking duck from another planet who's supposed to be the witty, funny fucking duck that says all the crazy things and everything and does the social commentary on Earth's foolishness and all that.
Yeah.
But we have another human doing the comic relief. Like, we have a talking duck. That's our comic relief. That's Bugs Bunny right there. Why do we need Tim Robbins to like basically play the clown and jump around him? Because it's not funny when it happens. Mm-hmm. Like, they made Howard the straight man for the movie, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
Like, it could have, but it just didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I said I wasn't going to reference the comics too much, but that's sort of how it is in the comics. And that's why the satire in the comics works, is because he is an outsider, and but he's just like a normal dude. And you can point to why all of the shit on Earth is crazy and fucked up.
Yeah, it seems like it could be really useful for that, but he just kind of cracks crappy little jokes in the movie, and then it's just gone.
Right. I mean, there's no actual commentary on anything that's going on. It's just that all of the humans are either idiots or maniacs. You know.
It reminds me of like Alice in Wonderland, except with a talking duck instead of Alice.
Right.
Like, he gets sucked down the hole, and then all of a sudden he's in this crazy, weird, fantasy, fucked up land of weird shit and one-liners and puns and who painted the flowers? Tim Robbins did.
It's just then the puns are just so relentless. It's just fucking pun after pun.
It wears you down.
Does.
You feel like you've been in the ring with a boxer for a while, and after a while you're just like, fuck it, man. Let's just end this.
It's so exhausting. They tell Phil to fuck off, and he goes chasing after them, and then they have this discussion of how there's a parallel evolution sort of thing happening where ducks evolve differently on this other planet, blah, blah, blah. Which, that's fine. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. No one's going to, like, hold this movie's feet to the fire about logic. But it doesn't really explain all of the weird parallels. Like, there's a parallel version of everything on Howard the Duck's planet that there is on Earth. It's just populated by duck puns,
Yeah. I think the thing that struck me the most about this scene with the evolution talk is, Howard has evolved from a duck, right? Mm-hmm. Ducks have evolved on Howard's planet into the creatures that Howard are. So that, Howard's a duck, but he's not like a duck like on Earth. He's a humanoid-like duck, an evolved duck,
Right.
And then Tim Robbins, and this is the part that cracked me up, he cuts over to, and on our planet it was different because humans evolved from monkeys. And they show this graph, this progression, the famous, ape-like creature to man, but they start with a monkey. And when I did this, I thought, where the fuck did he go to college?
Yeah.
Like that is not what the theory of evolution is. It's not the theory of, man's progress up from the muck. It's not, we evolved from monkeys. That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
Right.
Like that makes no sense. Monkeys and every other kind of primate generally evolved from the same early creature, but it wasn't a monkey. They evolved to be what they are while we evolved to be what we are,
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that cracked me up where the scientist is like, and that's why we all came from monkeys and you came from ducks. And it's like, oh, George. God damn it,
Yeah. So they find out that Phil isn't actually a scientist. He's just a lab assistant. And apparently Beverly is just completely fucking she's livid about this.
Yeah.
Apparently Phil has been talking himself up and saying, "I'm a scientist, baby," and that's not true. So they go storming out, and she says, "Wait, don't leave." And then the duck says, "Well, you can fuck yourself in the face, bitch, because I'm my own man. Yeah. You get out of here." And she kind of pouts and storms off.
Yeah, I thought you were different, Howard.
Yeah. She says something like she says, "You can waddle in your own self-pity." It's just like this, like it's just like every fucking line that they could possibly think to throw a pun in there, they do.
Yeah.
So
you know that line and later in the movie where the biker yells, "You're out of luck." Let's have him say, "You're out of duck."
Yeah, it's that is not far from how this movie goes. So Howard is now on his own, and he thinks to himself, "I'm on an alien planet. I need to get myself a job." So he goes to the unemployment office.
God.
And then he gets signed up with a caseworker who's like a sassy black woman who's just railing this duck about how
she's uncharacteristically bitchy towards him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she has had like a rough week or something, because he came in there and said, "I do want to get a job." And she says, "No, you ain't getting out of this. I'm going to get you a job. I don't care how fucking weird you look."
Yeah. It's like, you can tell she's had a lot of bad experiences with anthropomorphic ducks in the past, and she's, well, I'll just say it, racist.
Yeah,
She's racist against Howard's race of talking ducks.
Yep. But that's not really that big of a deal, because he is going to bite her ass.
This is the scene that, okay, so when we were talking about him being a horn dog where sometimes it doesn't even make sense, she's yelling at him, and he's like, "Well, I don't give a fuck," she's like, "I'm going to get you a job," and he's like, "Fine, I don't care." And then she turns around, and she's a very heavy-set woman, and she turns around, and she's picking up a file, and she's kind of bent over sort of in front of him, and she has this colossal, gigantic ass, and she's an older lady and everything, not usually what Hollywood portrays as being sexy, And Howard looks into this ass, which is right in front of his face, and he's all going,
I gotta get me some of that. Fuck.
Yeah. I got two bills right now.
I'm a duck, and I'm here to fuck.
Yeah, and then he just kind of leans forward, and he's like, "Aha!" And he leans forward and opens his mouth to take a bite out of her ass.
Yeah.
He's just gonna shove his mouth right in there.
Yeah.
And she turns around at the last second and shoves a piece of paper in his mouth and goes, "There's your damn job."
Yep.
And it was just very strange.
Yeah. See, I didn't take the biting her on the ass in a sexual way at all.
Oh, you thought he was gonna pick on her or something?
Well, it's just she's being a bitch, and he was just gonna bite her on the ass like he's an animal or something. Okay. But since every other thing in this movie revolves around Howard's dick, I can't imagine how. No, of course it's a sexual thing. He's gonna bury his beak right in there, man.
It's what it looks like to me. Even when I was a kid, I remember kind of going, "Whoa, he's gonna stuff his face in her ass." What the fuck is that all about?
Yeah.
This guy just can't keep it to himself.
Luckily, now that we're adults, we totally know what it's all about.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
if I were an anthropomorphic duck, I'd hit it.
Yeah. So Howard gets a job at a bathhouse where everyone is fucking.
Yeah. It's fucking gross.
It is. It's gross. There's all of these jacuzzis are filled with egg drop soup.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's fucking foul. When you walk in, it's all foul. Red lights and everything. It's foul. It's all red, all the lighting is red, and it's like a porno booth. You feel like you've walked into the basement of a porno shop where everybody meets to watch videos and jerk off or something. You feel like you're in some seedy porno booth or some gross thing like that, except there's jacuzzis everywhere, and all men just sitting in them. And there's one scene where I think there's a woman and a man, but
no, there were a lot of ladies, and actually that was actually, I was sort of. I was hesitant to make a note of this because I don't fucking know, but I always associate 80s bathhouses with gay dudes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, because I've always heard that's where, you know, at the time,
That's where the action was. Yeah.
that's where the action was. But like, I was like, man, there's a lot of ladies in this bathhouse. So I mean, maybe
Oh, okay.
maybe it was a straight version of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
way, this is just it's a fucking whorehouse.
George Lucas, we need to put some girls in this scene. No, keep it the way it is. Maybe
Yeah.
as a director's cut. No, keep it the way it is.
So Howard's on a break, and there's like I'm gonna bring up every single line that I like in this movie because there's not many of them.
Okay.
But Howard's on a break, and his boss is sitting at a like a tiki bar or something, just covered in sweat. He's just like this, like kind of chubby, sweaty, gross. Like his glasses are all fogged up, and he looks down at fucking Howard, and he says, "Creepy little dude."
Yeah.
I like that line. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, creepy little dude's glasses are all fogged up.
Yeah. And Howard, and he asks Howard to do something. He says, "I'm on a break," and the boss just starts assaulting him. He lifts him up and like throws him in a jacuzzi next to a couple that are fucking. They're just full on going at it.
Yeah.
And so Howard says, "Don't mind me," as they just keep pounding away. And
The guy's just like, "Oh, what's that? Interesting. Here, down further." Like he just doesn't even give a shit.
And then the next scene is Howard knocks his boss into a mud bath type thing and says, "I quit."
I was confused about the mud bath too, but go ahead.
The boss is like picking the top of a swimsuit out of this mud thing.
Yeah,
it's I don't know what were you going to say about the
mud bath confused me because my experience, well, I won't say experience, the few I've seen on television and in documentaries and things, a mud bath is actually like a thing you get down in. Like the mud comes up a certain amount on your body. You know, it's got depth to it. It's basically a jacuzzi full of mud. But this was weird because the guy goes flopping into the mud bath and it's maybe half an inch deep. Like he just kind of flops on it and then he kind of rolls over and goes, and then gets back up, but he doesn't submerge in it. Like it's not deep enough for him to submerge in it at all. It's like there's not even as much like the amount of mud in this thing is about as tall as my internet router. Like it's just like a little tiny layer, and I'm like, well, that's weird because if you were actually going to use that, you'd have to sit down in it bare ass with your dick hanging in it, and then scoop this shit up over you and then rub it around for a while. It'd be really gross. Like it would not be a mud bath. It'd be more like a mud smear.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. But you know, the mud bath is not there to actually do anything. It's just you go into that room and you fuck. And then
I want realism in my mud baths.
I don't think people aren't even supposed to touch the mud. They just go in there, they lay down on the tile, they get all sticky and gross, and then they leave.
Yeah. I'm going to go into the mud bathroom, sit down next to it, and just jack off for like an hour.
This movie really is like super gross. Oh man, we have to pay all of your buddies compliments.
Yes, let's do that. So now who's handling who, or how do you want to do it?
I don't know, man. This is all your thing. You're the guy who's like you set up weird contests and whatnot. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
I gave you like no warning. I'm like, oh, by the way, you have to do this thing, and I wrote material. Like, what kind of a dickhead am I? Like,
no, so
okay,
so I'll talk to old Joe Cripps.
Okay, you're gonna talk to Joe.
Yes.
So, do you want to go first, or do you want to go second?
I'll go first. This isn't
Okay.
this isn't going to be so much compliment as just as a heartfelt thank you for being our one fan,
Yeah.
and constantly being there for us, and commenting on things that we do, and calling in with unintelligible text voicemails, and offering suggestions to horrible movies that we should watch. From the depths of my heart, I appreciate it.
That was very nice.
You're also great in the sack.
And fuck you, Joe.
Fucking Joe.
Well, okay, I have one for Joe really quickly, which is, Joe, I think your face is a masterwork of perfection. And in a way, a confusing but wonderful way, it turns me on. So that's my compliment to Joe.
Ugh.
You're a good man. Yeah, a very good man. Let's see. Okay, so now I have my own brother. This is my little brother that I now have to compliment, which is so against my grain.
Yeah.
So he and I had to do the ice bucket challenge because of my Aunt Sandy, and so I haven't really talked to him much since. But okay, so all right, Mike, my darling, sweet, kind of femmy little brother.
You're not doing a good job so far, man.
Yeah, you beautiful, dainty, bonito. Let's see. Okay, so Mike, you smell like a sexy lumberjack who just spent his time punching a cow into delicious jerky. That's for your masculinity. You know, I'm beefing you up. You have the intelligence of Stephen Hawking's and the strength of a horse, both at the same time, in fact, which would make you like a kind of like cyber centaur or something in a weird wheelchair, but still cool as shit. Let's see. Oh, okay. So what does Mike Morrison, my brother, golf and NASCAR all have in common? A big old boy club and a long, hard drive. I hope you filed for a permit because those guns are loaded, my friend, my brother. Let's see. When Mike Morrison walks into a room, all of the women present suddenly slip right off of their chairs, each sliding toward him on a veritable river of lady stirrins. That's true. I've seen that happen. It's like slugs crawling across the floor. It's awful. It's actually quite a problem for him.
Yeah, I've witnessed that too. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, and they're just like, my God. Was that line from the Moss Boys? Be one of us, Michael. But,
oh, just to interrupt for a second,
Yes.
I learned a couple of years ago that there's a term in Norway, I think it is, for a girl grinding her junk on your leg called snailing.
Snailing. Oh, that's fucking great. Oh, snailing.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to remember that. Let's see. This will be a good one for me to say to my own brother. Mike, your kisses taste like whiskey and steak in a good way. I'm not going to say how I know that.
That's what I heard anyway.
Yeah, that's what I heard from some other chick. The orgasms you give women.
I'm the one that told you that.
It was. I know about you guys. The orgasms my brother gives women make them scream out in French, and these are women who don't even know French. Rocky had Eye of the Tiger, but the anthem song for tigers is Eye of Mike. When God sharded out your magnificent form, he made sure there could be no one in the universe that comes even close to your amazingness. Your biceps are astounding. It looks like you work out 24/7. Is there any jar you cannot open? No. Even the big jar of pickles, you're a beast. My brother could friend zone Aphrodite. He could liquefy the loins of a well-paid porn star. And every time Nicki Minaj twerk claps, it's an ovation for my brother. An assvation, I'll say. He's the lion of Washington, the bear of the north, glowy crown, tall oak in a forest of men. Let's see. I used to have to eat an entire bag of gummy candy just to make it through one of these podcasts, but now I just stare lovingly at the brightly illuminated picture of you that I use as my desktop. That's a lie. Let's see. What an amazing physique my brother has, because he's perfectly formed. I imagine his underwear smells like WD-40 and Angel Joy. I didn't write these thinking it would have to be a family member, by the way. There's a very upsetting quality to these now. Let's see. Mike, you're a king among men, a god among kings, and a celestial pool of pure molecular excellence among gods. The word can't doesn't exist in your dictionary. You do simply walk through Mordor. I want to monogram your name on all my clothes. Let's see. I think my brother deserves to have a Ben & Jerry's ice cream named after him. It should have a ribbon of hot women in it and maybe like a caramel swirl. You're such a bright portion of my life that I'm going to hollow out your skull and use it as a candle. Oh, this one I'll say is for my brother and for Joe. I think both of them fit this perfectly. Your laugh sways nations. Your smile warms the hearts of even the most cold. Your legs go all the way up, and you could charge tuition to those around you for all that you could teach them about badassedness. You, sirs, are the best around, and nothing's ever going to keep you down.
Nice. Before you threw Joe in there, I was going to say, I mean, seems like Joe's sort of getting short shrift there.
That would be your fault.
Hey, man, I didn't have a chance to write shit down.
Let's see. I think Joe is a charming and wonderful human being. He has the eyes of a lamb, the hands of a doe, and the spine of an outhouse constructed entirely of iron. I think in the hallowed halls of Joe, there will be great libations and beautiful women and things like that. I think Joe is an excellent force upon the earth. When I watch Evil Dead 2, I picture it being Joe that actually runs through the forest at Bruce Campbell, simply because I know he would like to do that. Peace on earth to you, Joe.
Yeah. This whole segment has been incredibly uncomfortable.